Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hello, I'm Stephen Willis from Locked On Ole Miss, and I'm joined by Bill Flowers. And Bill, you get to take your victory lap at the moment because for the last year, what we've been talking about, we saw an extreme version of what you've been just harping on over and over again. Now, Ole Miss fans are probably not going to be happy about it, but we're going to tell you different ways that Ole Miss can fix this with very simple stuff that is actually within the offense. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing good, man. A little disappointed to see the Rebels lose against Alabama, but it's a nice day in Birmingham, so I'm doing well. But like we talked a little bit before this recording, I don't think they did anything different than they have the last 18 months. This has been the same. I think it's just people are finally at the wit's end of seeing a $9 million man who has a very exotic offense that can do so much that doesn't do it, that doesn't take what the defense gives him, doesn't train their quarterbacks to do what they know they need to do, which is attack the middle of the field and do the things that the fans so want to see. I think that we have people that are so, listen, you get so emotional, you get so tied to the team that you love that you don't want to hear what you really need to hear. It becomes, don't talk about my baby. But there's a reason why they say this, the worst client for a lawyer is himself. And when you allow yourself to get so emotionally attached to an offense, and that offense is continually doing what it shouldn't be doing, and someone criticizes it, they just sometimes people can irrationally just jump to judgment. And I think that Saturday was the reality that people are finally going, maybe Bill's not crazy. Maybe Bill's not a jack. He sees what needs to be done. He's passionate about why he does what he sees. Maybe I don't come off as compassionate or what, but it was exactly what I've been talking about. And people that think that I should stay out of Lane Kiffin's offense, well, if you want him to continue to do this and be an average Ole Miss fan, then fine, then go for it.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. You do deserve your victory lap because you have been saying this for the better part of about a year. I guess it was about last October when you brought this to my attention.
It was crazy, especially then, because that's when we weren't losing.
Mm-hmm.
I told you when we went on that stretch that if you could not have a run game and a passing game, but that passing game has to be short in order to keep the run game. You got your short run game, you got your long run game, you got your short pass game, you got your long pass game. If you can't play that like chess and be able to control it, you're going to get your butt kicked. And that's exactly what happened last year with on the teams that if you're going to run and play the long term in the SEC, that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Ole Miss's offense is basically entirely RPO. They do a whole bunch of RPO stuff, which means the offensive line is run blocking, which means it is difficult to pass block. It is easier to pass block whenever you give ground than when you're attacking. When you're run blocking, you're attacking the defensive lineman. When you're pass blocking, you're catching them, kind of. So whenever you have an RPO that is lengthy, let's say that it's going to take a couple of seconds for the receiver to get to the read, and you're playing against a team like Alabama, like a team that's going to be like LSU, like Georgia, those offensive linemen are not going to be able to perform the same way that they are against Georgia Tech, against Mercer, against Tulane. They didn't look great against Tulane, but it is because you're asking the offensive line to run block, not pass block, with the intent of throwing the ball well down the field. And it just becomes a difficult situation. blocking's not blocking. I think the offensive line gets a lot of the brunt of what's going on. I don't think it's that simple.
So I sent you the video of the 3 plays for Dolphins opening drive, and I think that was your opening eye to holy crap, we found the offense that we should be running, which is Lane Kiffin's offense, just modified with utilizing quick pass in the middle of the field and get the ball out of your hand quickly. And that's exactly what it is. Now, people aren't going to like to hear this, but this is where Sanders comes in. This is why I said Sanders would be a great fit for this offense, because he comes from an RPO system where they've run this system where you've got to get the ball out of your hand. When that running back comes and you pull that ball out of the linebacker's belly, and that linebacker has stepped up, you now throw behind that linebacker quickly. You're not sitting there looking for the second and third tier. You're hitting right there, right off the backside. If you can't ever hit that play, if you can't ever do an RPO with a quick slant behind a linebacker, then you're never going to, then those tier 2 and tier 3s are going to be so much harder to hit. And so that's where the offensive line is not designed, like you said, to be, drop back, kick back 3 or 4 steps and have to take on these bull rushes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it becomes an interesting situation. And you're absolutely right, because with LSU, Ole Miss can beat LSU. Anybody that's watching this video, Ole Miss can beat LSU. LSU might be the best offense that Ole Miss is going to play, but that is not a typical LSU defense. What we saw at Alabama was different than what we're going to see against LSU.
And I've said this, and I'll continue to say it. Ole Miss has the talent in the offensive capabilities to be as good as anybody in this country. Mike McDaniels at Miami Dolphins is by far the number one brain of the NFL, with a offense that is quick, that it's dynamic, that shifts, that moves. It's exactly what Lane Kiffin does, but it's very quick. Nothing's methodical. It is quick. Get the ball out. Let your playmakers make the plays, and they can do it. But if they continue to run this kind of offense, it will not work. And when you get paid $9 million and you run something that continually does not work, and then you're telling the fans to not blame the players, that's a cop-out. I'm sorry. Because you're going to ask them to continually take beatings from the fans, because the fans are expecting change. The players can't make the change themselves. Now, if you put Sanders in and he hits the quick stuff in the middle of the field, and because that's his natural progression, that's what he likes to do, that's kind of where he makes his money. I'm telling you, the Sanders is the guy for that. I love Dart. I think Dart is an amazing quarterback. He just is not there yet to be able to pre-snap read, hit the quick stuff in the middle. And if that happens, then that gives Lane a more chance to not have to modify his offense. It gives you a play caller that's going to take what the defense gives you. It's going to hit your slots that are running down the field. I mean, we saw it. There were a number of players that were running down the middle of the field that just didn't get hit. That's not Kiffin's off. That's not Kiffin's fault. That's a Dart fault.
Here's my thing about that. So this is an RPO offense, and let's say you're reading off the strong safety on an RPO. So Dart's number one read is going to be that player that's either in front or behind of that RPO. You're one or the other. You're going to do that. Now, there's not a progression in this offense. It isn't like whenever Eli was calling the shots for you, and it was either, hey, hit the slant. If it's not there, move out to the dig. That stuff. I don't know if Ole Miss plays that offensive game plan because they're so intertwined kind of with the RPO.
So this is a coaching issue. This is where your $9 million comes into effect. Son, cover 2. Okay. If they line up in cover 2, or if they change, you're a big boy. You're getting paid a lot of money. You're not a college athlete anymore. You're somewhat a professional athlete. You're getting paid NIL money. You're making money. So, some people have to realize that these people are making more money than you are, and you're buying their season tickets. So, if you can't pre-snap read and realize that, well, I'm going to do an RPO here, but if this guy's going to run in the middle of the field and the middle of the field's going to be wide open, come on, you're smarter than that. So pre-snap read, understand what you've got. You just understand that, and so like if you're backside, like it would be easy as having your backside. Like in high school, we ran a post curl 75% of the time, and what that did was that the quarterback could know that if for any reason that front side was not open, he knew that he had a post curl, and that if it's man to man, I'm gonna run and find my hole. If it was a cover two, he knew that he had a hole that I was going to progress and find. That's it. It's not that difficult. You want to make it an easy offense to where if something's not open, that you've got somebody that's in the void. The problem that you've got is that either the offense doesn't have a play where somebody's in the void, which is a bad play call, or there is somebody in the void and the quarterback's not seeing it.
Yeah. Well, the question becomes like the important thing about this LSU game, and like I said, Ole Miss can win this game. If you look at analytics, Ole Miss is probably favored to win this game as far as like if you look at advanced stats. But LSU's front seven is really good. And if Ole Miss goes out and tries to do the same thing they did against Alabama, those rushers for LSU are going to get home. They're going to knock the mess out of Jackson.
And Judkins is not going to have any yards running.
Yeah, and the offense is going to look discombobulated. This is what I'm thinking Ole Miss needs to do, and I think you're going to like this, Bill. I think you need the pop pass to the tight end. I think you need the bubble screen. I think you need the tunnel screen, and I think you need the hitch. That is what you need to do in the pass game this week, and you need to be quick. The ball needs to get out of your hands within a second to a second and a half. Earn the right to throw deep against the secondary.
So I agree with everything except for the screens. I think everything that needs anything that has to do anything with lateral, get rid of it. Everything that you're saying, I would switch the screens for quick. If they're 7 yards off, your slot receiver, instead of a quick screen, they are wind routes. They're just quick. I'm going vertical, but I'm going to go inside the shoulder and throw quick. Everything needs to be going downhill. If you're a running back, the reason why Judkins is so good, tell me, how much lateral running does he do? Not much at all. Everything he does is going downhill. And so that's why he's so dangerous. When you have a pass, when you've got your defense knows that, shoot, man, every time they throw the ball, they're getting yards up the field, and they've got really quick inside receivers. Every time the ball comes out of their hand, which is quick, it's going downfield. That is exactly what the Dolphins do. The Dolphins do not do very much lateral stuff. They do everything's quick, going downfield, getting yardage. That would be my only critique from what you said.
What about this also? Harold Perkins is going to be a dominant player in this game for LSU. He's going to be a huge part of their game plan. What Ole Miss should do is replace Harold Perkins wherever he blitzes from. Jackson Dart should know that if he blitzes from the linebacker position, you're hitting the slant right that would have been right behind that area. That will be the hot read going into this game. Use Harold Perkins against that LSU defense.
Well, yeah, because you're creating a void. Mm-hmm. That void will be filled. That's exactly what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So if you've got your slot receiver and you've got a void in the middle of the field and you're running screens, how are you hitting that void? You're not. Your void is when you're doing your vertical. You can say it a slant. You can say it's a seam route. Whatever it is, it's hitting the void, and you're going vertical. And so that's how you get your linebackers to not blitz and open up. And now Juckins isn't running into a Mack truck coming at him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because LSU's given up 4.5 yards a carry. Their secondary is like ranked 118th in the country. Earn the right to throw the ball against the secondary because you can do it if you earn to do it. But if you try to do the stuff that they did last week, LSU's going to get home. LSU's really good at getting to the quarterback, and they have athletes all over the field.
And so for some of you guys that just don't grasp it yet, when you do a play action fake and you bring a linebacker up and you hold the safety, and if you're a play action and you're hitting it quick, you do that about 3 or 4 times in the middle of the field. Again, you guys have criticized me and you guys have told me I'm an idiot. But when you do that 3 or 4 times, what happens is that you now can get your guy behind the sitting safety who's now questioning whether he needs to come up or go back. So Kiffin can have his cake and eat it. He can take some middle of the field, hold the safeties, hit the voids, have that, and then he can throw his visor way up in the air because he's hitting his receivers, 40 yards down the field for touchdowns. That's what that is.
Yeah. Anyway, what kind of score prediction do you have for the game?
Well, that's all depending on whether we do the same thing.
Let's say that they change it. I do think Kiffin is going to change a little bit. I think Alabama and the heat that they're going on, there's going to be some stuff changed. I don't know if everything's going to get changed, but some stuff is going to change. Let's take that baseline.
If they change and they hit the middle of the field and make that a priority, I think they score 42 points. I think they can score 40 plus. Now,
if they score 42, they're winning.
Yeah, exactly, Stephen.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the caveat to that. It's a 40 plus score, but we own the possession of clock. If Ole Miss doesn't own the clock possession, they lose.
That's going to be difficult. I don't think that LSU can run the ball like they could last year. I do agree with that. So it's going to be 2 teams throwing the football. So there's a chance that Ole Miss is probably better off running the ball.
So that's my caveat.
Okay.
The team that has, and tell me if I'm wrong, did Alabama didn't they own possession of time?
Yeah, but so did Georgia Tech.
Okay. Yeah, I say with Ole Miss, the way, listen, our defense played outstanding for the most part against Alabama.
Fantastic.
When I say that, I'm talking about you parents out there. When you've got a kid that the best that they'll ever do is a B, and you're a crappy parent if every time they come home and hit a C or a C plus, you're like, why didn't you get a B or an A? Well, when they hit a B, man, you just praise them and you just tell them you're so proud of them. You did a fantastic job. I know you worked hard. Congratulations, great job. Is our defense a historical Alabama defense that's an A plus? No, they're not. So for us to think that we can say, hey, we can, they can dominate and win games for us, that's unrealistic, and that's not right. You shouldn't do that. Against Alabama, they played the best that they could play, and that's
all well enough to win.
That's all you can ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And our offense and offensive play calling let them down. So against LSU, and as good as their offense is, we have to own the ball. And that's why you can't score quickly and think that you've got to have these big home run balls. You've got to control the clock. You've got to be able, the title of your call with me last week was take their will. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying is run the ball, throw the ball, throw short balls, throw long balls, own the possession. If you put all that weight on our defense and expecting us to score quickly every time, and you just don't do it. Like, our offense is a power, 100%. Get that everybody's through y'all's minds. I'm telling you, we have one of the most powerful offenses in the country. They can do whatever they want to do. It's whether the coaches want to, do that, and the play and the quarterback taking what the defense gives them. If they can do that, they can own the clock. They can have the offense that says we run when we want to run, we throw short when we want to throw short, and we throw deep when we want to throw deep. We have that capability.
I think I might have just figured this out, Bill. We have an offense to where they want to score every play, not every drive. And the object is to score every time you get the ball, not just every play, because you can't do that. It's unrealistic. And you end up against Alabama, almost had 3 possessions going 3 and out with a total of about 1 minute time of possession. And that's the reason the second half went the way it was. The defense was worn out.
Again, I'm not trying to toot my horn.
Yeah.
But our conversation last week about with Kiffin, with Saban gave him parameters. Saban gave him a you're going to live in my reality. And there's a reason why Saban's the best coach to ever coach college football. And there's a reason why these coaches that go to coach rehab, which is University of Alabama, with the Dr. Saban, is because they learn from it. And unfortunately, I don't think Kiffin has really grasped, hey, you know what? I learned a lot. He became a much better person, whatever. But offensively, you can tell I don't think he's seen that, scoring every play as fast and having a sexy sports car might not win you a championship. It might not make you great in the SEC. It might make you sexy here and there, but Saban's never been about sexy. He's been about winning. I think probably when you have people that see from a different perspective and they're right, and it's not because I'm so smart. No, it's not at all. It's very it's oblivious. Like it's right there. And again, I think emotions kind of keep people from wanting to see what they don't want to see.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Bill. And thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Bill, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time, buddy.
Hi, Toddy, buddy.